We've been getting some insane updates on Fallout. Following the success of the TV show, we are seeing something unprecedented. Basically, the entire Fallout franchise is breaking its own player records this week. And it seems like this insane degree of success may have finally gotten Microsoft's attention, as we are not only going to be getting a Fallout Season 2, but reportedly there are also talks to get Fallout 5 out even sooner as a result of all of this. But as great as all things Fallout are doing right now, we also need to talk about the absolute disaster that is the Fallout 4 next-gen update, because trust me, it's actually worse than many of you realize. But since you watched this video, I'm gonna make sure you get to play some extra Fallout this month. That thanks to today's video sponsor, Factor. Factor will help you spend less time cooking and way more time gaming. Once you subscribe, you'll get a big box of meals delivered right to your front door, and congrats, you no longer have to worry about what's to eat this week, because all of these meals, even this delicious looking filet mignon, only take 2 minutes to make in the microwave, and you don't even have to use a plate. No cooking and no dishes. How could it get any better? Factor has fed me this entire week as I grind out a bunch of Fallout content, and the best part is you're actually eating good. Factor meals are chef prepared and never frozen, and you can even hit your fitness goals with meal preference options like keto, calorie smart, or even vegan. But I know for a lot of you, even 2 minutes is a long time. Thankfully, Factor also offers a bunch of snack options like smoothies, juices, and more, and since you watched this video, I'll make sure to hook you up. You can get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders using my link down below, so click that link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone now. Fallout Season 1 has been an absolutely insane success. The series has glowing reviews from critics, fans, and even some of the notable members of the industry, like some of the original creators of Fallout loving the Fallout TV show. The show was renewed for a Season 2 almost instantly, and we even heard a ton of notable actors reached out to the showrunners about a Season 2, including Aaron Paul, and considering he was already in Westworld, which Kilter Films also made, I wouldn't be shocked if we could see Aaron Paul pop up in Season 2 of Fallout, and one of the clearest indications of this ongoing success are some of the player counts. Bethesda even highlighted this themselves. Last weekend, Fallout 76 saw 1 million players in a single day, which is absolutely insane when you consider that we're talking about one of the most controversial video game launches of all time, which is now being loved by fans a full 6 years after release. And Bethesda highlights how this is not just applying to Fallout 76, but really the Fallout franchise overall is just booming right now, with almost 5 million people playing Fallout games in just one day, to the point where it just hit its highest player count ever on Steam. And perhaps more importantly, I think this is going to be one of those things that pays dividends. For a lot of people, this was Fallout 76's coming out party, finally realizing that it's actually a decently fun game. So you have to imagine, as we get this June update and likely a update later in fall or winter, a lot of these players that are checking out the game for the first time right now will be returning for some of those later updates as they've now gotten invested. But as crazy as that is, we've seen it before. We've seen several other games like Cyberpunk 2077 getting huge player boosts as a result of their piece of media or TV show coming out. But things are absolutely hitting a different level when it comes to Fallout, because it's not even just Fallout 76 that's popping off. And in fact, Fallout 76 isn't even the best performing Fallout game. Fallout 4 is just blowing away every single metric. At the time of filming this, Fallout 4 is the 5th most played game on Steam overall. This puts it just above Manor Lords, which literally came out yesterday, so we have an 8-year-old Fallout 4 competing with the most wishlisted game in Steam history, and Fallout 4 is winning right now. And even on Xbox, Fallout 4 is in the top 15 most played games ahead of Fallout 76, which means Fallout 4 alone is also getting more than 1 million players. Fallout 4 has more players than Fallout 76 on all platforms, and in all likelihood, we're probably seeing around 2 million people playing Fallout 4 every day right now. And that really is what's making this all so insane. It's not just one game getting a massive boost, it's the entire franchise. Fallout 76, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics, and even the Fallout 76 public test server all hit their peak player count on Steam this past week. There are more people playing these games than ever before right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if for some of the older Fallout titles, if this is the peak player count they ever get. And it's not even just the games. Nexus Mods has been having trouble staying online due to the massive increase in traffic, and there have even been huge boosts to music streams for some of the songs featured in the games and show. Although, despite all of that, I can't help but feel like both Bethesda and even Microsoft were surprisingly unprepared for this giant surge of players. It's almost like they didn't fully expect this much attention to come to some of the older Fallout games, which perhaps was just a result of the Halo show not really leading to a huge surge in Halo player counts. Because while we are seeing a giant giant player boost to all of the Fallout games, we're not really seeing a ton of new content. The next major Fallout 76 update is still several months away. It looks awesome, I just played it on the public test server, but I feel like right now would have been an incredible time to have this one coming out, because some of the new story content they're introducing with this is exactly what many Fallout fans are hungry for, and likely would have converted to a lot of new microtransactions being purchased. Skyrim just got this new paid mod system in December with creations, but for whatever reason, it never came to Fallout 4, which feels like a gigantic mistake. I don't necessarily want Fallout 4 to have paid mods, but you have to imagine they would be making a ton of money off of them right now. Like, to the point where this is probably a multi-million-dollar oversight as Fallout 4 gets closer and closer to launch player numbers. Fallout 4 is the most played Fallout game, and they have no major new form of monetization for it, despite the fact that Bethesda literally just built out this entire paid mod system and added it to Skyrim. Feels like they could have relatively easily added that exact same framework to Fallout 4 and been making tens of millions right now. Instead, we're just getting new releases for Skyrim, which feels like very curious timing. Instead, Fallout 4 got this next-gen update that actively made the game worse for a fairly large number of players. There are definitely some great performance bumps on consoles, and that is genuinely huge, but it's also pretty clear that this update was rushed and there's been a ton of broken features to ship with it, to the point where after the update, a ton of mods on consoles are just no longer working. We'll talk more about some of these problems later on in this video, but it's kind of this crazy scenario where it feels like Microsoft and Bethesda were not anticipating this degree of player interest in their games, and the one update we got for the most popular game really feels like it's harming the positive momentum as opposed to helping it. But it seems pretty clear that Bethesda and Microsoft now are aware, and recent rumors suggest that this may even have an impact on when we see Fallout 5. During the latest Xbox 2 podcast, industry insider JuiceHead says,
"They're currently formulating plans on how to get the next Fallout here for us sooner rather than later," which I know is vague as hell, but like we constantly talk about, will we even see Fallout this decade?
No, we won't.
And the answer is, I think we will.
So obviously, that is a pretty massive announcement that reveals several things, but this does line up with something I have heard personally, that Microsoft or Bethesda was a bit surprised by the level of interest in the games after the premiere of the TV show. They expected a bump, but they didn't expect the bump to be this giant. And this would flow with what Jez is saying here, that Microsoft is now seeing the data and realizing, yeah, we need to get a new Fallout game out, because the Fallout show is already renewed for a season 2. And it certainly feels like Fallout could end up becoming a premiere show from Amazon that they start putting serious amounts of money behind. It definitely would make sense for there also to be a game to buy so Microsoft and Bethesda can make some of that money. And JuiceHead expands on this to explain how we might see a new Fallout game this decade, and this includes discussion of it being made by another studio.
That's what they're talking about right now.
So what?
From what I understand.
So
I'm suggesting someone else is going to build Fallout
someone
5.
else at Bethesda would come in and make a Fallout 5.
Not necessarily.
Would it be
Bethesda.
Fallout 5 or would it be Fallout: City?
It might be Fallout: City. They're putting a plan in place, and I don't think it necessarily be Todd's main Bethesda team doing it.
Who
That's
would you?
my belief, but I just know that they know they can't let this take that long. That's the gist of the current plan. It's not going to take. We're not going to have to wait that long for it.
This feels like pretty big news to me, that Microsoft is having the realization that they cannot wait for Bethesda game studios to just get around to Fallout 5, and instead we need something else in the interim. That something else will potentially come from another studio. Jez goes on to speculate that this game could end up coming a bit faster, as much of the work on updating the engine was already done for Starfield, so it would be more of a case of just building out the game as opposed to building an entire engine and a game, and he even speculates Obsidian could be the ones to make this game. But it seems like this is him making an educated guess as opposed to a proper leak that Obsidian's making a new Fallout game. So just to put it simply, Microsoft is having talks about getting a Fallout game out faster, likely as a result of the massive success of the Fallout TV show. In order to get this game out faster, they'll very likely use a different developer. Part of the reason I find this to be such a crazy reveal is the revelation that this wasn't already happening. I know many Fallout fans had hoped after Microsoft purchased Bethesda, they would immediately get another studio making something Fallout, whether that be a new game, a spin-off, or even a remaster. But apparently the process is only just starting now, and it's a result of the Fallout TV show leading to a huge player surge. To me, that is really disappointing, but at the same time, not really that surprising. One of the notable quirks of Microsoft ownership is they reportedly just kind of leave you alone. Oftentimes, this is viewed as a good thing, so the underlying company could really maintain its culture, but then you have cases like this where a lot of the fans wish something was happening. We have heard rumors in the past about there being talks about Obsidian working on a Fallout game, or even an Exile working on a Fallout in Unreal Engine, but the big problem has always been these other developers are just as busy as Bethesda game studios. They're working on their own AAA RPGs, and those we need to drop first. But we've been talking about other people making a Fallout game for so long that reality is actually starting to change right now. Obsidian is slated to drop Avowed this year and could potentially even drop The Outer Worlds 2 next year. The Outer Worlds 2 began development all the way back in 2019 before The Outer Worlds 1 even released. There's already been about 5 years of dev time on that, so the story that Obsidian was too busy to work on this seems like it's coming to an end. We already know the Avowed team will open up this year and very likely the Outer Worlds team next year. And Obsidian literally said this might end up happening. In 2022, the Obsidian studio had said, at some point we'll look into what's next. And I would be surprised if Fallout is not on that list. It has to tie in with what Bethesda is doing with Fallout, etc. I'd love to make another Fallout game. Of course, if we ever got the opportunity to make another Fallout game, we'd make it. That's not even a question of whether or not we would do it, it's just will the opportunity arise. Obviously, Obsidian making a new Fallout doesn't mean it's just going to be another Fallout New Vegas. That's an old game, and a lot of those devs have simply moved on. But I think especially from Microsoft's perspective, Obsidian plus Fallout is kind of a layup. You're going to have a huge amount of inbuilt interest just by having Obsidian as the developer of a Fallout game, so I could honestly see this happening. We also do have this leaked Bethesda roadmap. This is old, it was made back in 2020, but it does list a Fallout 3 remaster as an upcoming release. Although we have no idea if this even ever started production. A remaster does seem like it would be the quickest way to release a new Fallout game, so maybe development on this title does get brought up a bit or expedited by Microsoft if it exists at all. And even further, you have to imagine this all means Fallout 76 will be getting quite a bit more attention, which frankly it already kind of is. This upcoming June update for Fallout 76 looks incredible. It's an original Fallout 76 story where they're exploring the opening of Vault 63 as well as a lot of other interesting Fallout factions getting involved. Right now, Fallout 76 seems to have two main teams, Double 11, who worked mostly on this new map expansion coming in June, but also Bethesda Game Studios Austin. They were primarily working on the recently released Atlantic City Part 2, but it seems like the Bethesda Game Studios Austin team is now probably working on whatever the fall or winter update will be, and this very likely will make 2024 one of the most content-rich years for Fallout 76 in a very long time. It's just all of that content is still several months away. But then we also have the other Fallout game getting updates with Fallout 4. A few days ago, the Fallout 4 Next Gen update dropped, and this is perhaps the most extreme example of a mixed bag update. For many console users, this is a gigantic upgrade. For a long time, players couldn't go through downtown Boston without crashing completely, as well as many now have way more FPS and a ton more stability while playing Fallout 4. It went from a fairly broken 30 FPS game that would periodically crash to a rock-solid 60 FPS game that was completely stable. That's a huge upgrade for a ton of those players. Unfortunately, there were also a ton of issues. Fallout 4 mods broke, and yeah, this was expected, but the degree to which Fallout 4 mods broke was not expected. Native code mods broke on PC, like the script extender and address library. This almost always happens when Fallout 4 gets updates, and most PC players knew this would happen and prevented the update as a result. And that was actually pretty smart, because it's looking like it'll be a while before some of these native code mods are back online. The Fallout 4 script extender dev just stated, it's going to be a while. The change is the scope of Skyrim Anniversary Edition. The compiler was changed. Inlining drastically changed existing functions. Currently, I don't have a public estimate for completion. A lot of you are probably wondering what this means timeline-wise for when mods are coming back, and it basically means it'll be a while. With Skyrim Anniversary Edition, the script extender devs had the update out the same day as they got early access to the Anniversary Edition update, so they could update script extender before release. But even with that in mind, it still took address library another 10 days to update after that. So one of the core issues is you almost have this stacking effect. Many mods rely on script extender, and then many other mods rely on those mods like address library. So you're going to be waiting in waves, waiting for the script extender to update, then waiting for some of the other mods relying on script extender to update, then waiting on the other mods relying on those mods to update. And that's all assuming that these mod authors are even active. A lot of these mods will likely never see updates at all because Fallout 4 is an old game. People have just moved on. And that's all to say that it'll likely be months before Fallout 4 modding on PC returns to normal, and even when it does, there'll still likely be mods that are not updated. So if you're interested in modding Fallout 4 on PC, you should almost certainly use this downgrader to experience some of the best mods. But like I mentioned, that was all expected. What wasn't expected is the plethora of mod problems to pop up on consoles. Quite a few users had their mods uninstalled and modless wiped on Xbox. So those players are having to go and one by one reinstall all of the mods they have active on their current save. A massive headache in its own right, but made far worse by the fact that some of those mods can't be downloaded anymore. Some are just no longer listed on Bethesda.net. It might have been a 5-year-old mod that ended up getting removed for one reason or another. So now you'll have to load that save with a mod missing, and hopefully it'll still work with that mod missing. But also, for a brief period, some of the larger mods on Xbox became undownloadable. You'd just be met with an error upon trying to download it, which meant that for a couple of days there were a lot of players that literally couldn't play their Fallout 4 saves because some of the mods weren't able to be re-downloaded after getting deleted. Thankfully, it does seem like this issue is largely resolved now, and even beyond just the general annoyance of having to reinstall so many mods, plenty of players are just pissed that they have to deal with this without a space increase. Fallout 4 on Xbox has only 2 gigabytes of mod space available, which is a gigantic limitation. In the past, Bethesda made it clear that they could increase this, but it would wipe everyone's mod list. With this update, lots of players got their mod list wiped, so now you're not getting the space upgrade while dealing with the consequence of the space upgrade. And even still, those are not all of the mod issues on console. There's a brand new 0 byte issue, where users are told they have 0 bytes of free mod space available, or even negative mod space available, despite of course not having used all of the space, or even better, having all of their mods deleted and then being told they have 0 bytes of space free, meaning they can't re-download their mods. But some players cannot even get that far and are unable to use this mod menu at all without it erroring out or crashing Fallout 4. And that's just when it comes to mods. Separately, tons of users are logging in to find missing content, oftentimes missing Creation Club or DLC content, meaning that your settlement you built will now look unfinished because those pieces you used are no longer there. It seems like reinstalling all of the Creation Club content or DLC will fix this. On Xbox, one of the new DLCs didn't ship with meshes at all, so all of that content is invisible or in this red error code. And on PC, one of the other DLCs is having a lot of issues loading and actually progressing the next quest stage. A bunch of that are some of the problems to come up from this update with the new additions, but there's also a lot of new additions that are just half-baked. The crudely implemented ultrawide support, removing the launcher and in turn your visual settings menu from Steam Deck. Some of the biggest game-breaking bugs were just not fixed. There's an artificial FPS cap on PC now. The quality mode setting is reportedly not working at some consoles. And the list of problems just goes on and on. I'm not even highlighting everything here just for the sake of time. In my eyes, the Fallout 4 Next Gen update was a major miss from Bethesda, and I think it's actually hurting some of the positive momentum we've been seeing from the Fallout TV show. For a lot of players, Fallout 4 is now in a worse state compared to where it was 2 weeks ago. And it's in a worse state due to the highly anticipated Next Gen update releasing. I think Bethesda just needs to be doing a better job, and hopefully we start to see some of these issues getting resolved in the coming weeks. But if you are interested in brighter tomorrows, check out this video on the next Fallout 76 update, which to me is looking like one of the game's best updates ever.